on, guys? It's your boy Andre back at you with another episode of Packed In Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. And on today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the Marvel's Logan and Sabretooth, a part of the 50 Years Wolverine 2-pack. And man, I know I am not the only one when I say that I am super excited to be receiving this Sabretooth. I know most of us only got this 2-pack because we all wanted to get our hands on that Sabretooth. I, for one, I actually don't mind receiving that civilian Wolverine, since that would be my first Wolverine in civilian clothing, so I actually don't mind. But we all know why we're here. You know why you clicked on the link. So let's take these guys out of the box and let's take a closer look. So first things first, let's take a quick look at the packaging. And man, I definitely always love the boxes that Marvel Legends give us, man. You know, sometimes the boxes that they give us, it really makes me want to keep the figures actually inside the box. But I mean, let's be real, we all know why we came to play with these toys, man. So taking a look at the front of the box here, we do have an open window. You can get a nice view of both of your figures. Over here we have our Logan, and over here we have our Sabertooth. You do have the Marvel Legends series logo up top. On the bottom you do have the Wolverine, and on the right side of the packaging we also do have a picture of Sabretooth. Here towards the bottom we do have the 50 Years Logan, and if you actually rub your fingers across the picture, you'll actually feel a little bit of texture. So it was a nice little touch to detail from Hasbro to give us that. And on the left side of the box we have another product shot of Wolverine. And man, you know, I definitely like the artwork that they chose. I definitely feel like it adds to the overall value of just the entire set, man. And then one other thing to note, if you guys were curious about what the inside of the box looks like, inside we actually do have a few comic book panels of Sabretooth and Wolverine going at it. I definitely think it was a nice touch to the hardcore, you know, collectors and those interested in comics. You know, it's always nice to have a reference for the figures that we are receiving from Hasbro. Then taking a look at the back of the box, we do have some comic artwork of Sabretooth and Logan going at it. We do have the two head sculpts here, which I definitely do like that they're doing that. Most of the times we generally see the comic artwork, but you know, just a nice little detail there. And then if you wanted to read up on the description, it does say, as regenerative mutants involved in the Weapon X program, Sabretooth and Logan's feud continues long after Logan's escape. And man, I cannot explain to you how super excited I am to get this open. So without further ado, guys, let's get these guys out of the packaging and let's take a look. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have Logan and Sabretooth out of the packaging, man. And I can say from my first impressions, I am thoroughly and very pleased with how these figures came out. I definitely feel like this is a Sabretooth that everybody wanted. You know, the previous Marvel Legends Sabretooth that we had was okay, but I know many of us had argued that the size on that Sabretooth was a little bit on the small size, and most of us wanted, you know, that Jim Lee version of Sabretooth that, you know, we're familiar with in the comics as well as an animated series. So I definitely think that Hasbro did a phenomenal job with the execution of the Sabretooth as well as the Logan. And I know that many of us were probably annoyed that we had to pay for a Sabretooth that was locked behind the Logan, but I honestly don't think that that Logan is all that bad. Yes, it does have some flaws. I do have critiques about it, just as I do the Sabretooth, but all in all, I think that this 2-pack is a must grab. It's definitely something that you are not going to regret buying. So without further ado, let's get these guys off of the stand and let's take a closer look. Now, jumping straight into accessories, first we're going to take a look what comes with our Logan, and I'm honestly going to say that, you know, I was a little bit questionable. I was scratching my head when I saw the accessories that came with our guy Logan here, simply because I felt like we could have had different accessories. So for an example, he does come with the stack of playing cards, or a hand of playing cards as I should say. And you know, the sculpt itself is not bad. I do like their detailed. I do like they do have this little detail here that shows you that they are from the Xavier school. It's just that, you know, when I think of playing cards, I'm thinking more so of Gambit than I'm actually thinking Wolverine. So why they gave us that, I'm not 100% sure, but for what it is, it's not that bad. Then over here, taking a look at the hands, I do really feel like they did a really fairly good job with the hands. I do like the attention to detail with the hair painted on the upper portion of his fist there. And I do think it's a nice little touch. You know, the detail kind of loses out a little bit when we go into the fingernails, but I mean, you know, unless you're going to be staring at your Wolverine's fingers that close, I guess it wouldn't really make a difference. But apart from that, I do like the veins and just, the texture that it has, so it doesn't come off as bare plastic. There actually is, a little bit of texture there. And then last but not least, he also does come with this additional head, the head that he comes with in the box. I believe he has more of a neutral face and his hat is brown. I do feel like it is a missed opportunity. They could have given us an additional head, maybe without a hat. But I think where they really missed the mark is they really should have gave us a head, an expressive face, or at least with his mouth open, considering that both of the faces that we get on the Sabertooth are both angry, expressive faces or fighting faces. And I know Logan is a stoic guy, but let's be real. I mean, at the end of the day, he is Weapon X. There is that beast inside of him. But for what we get with the sculpt, man, I'm very pleased. I do like the attention to the paint detail. You know what I'm saying? The sculpting on here is really nice. The paint work on the eyes and on the lips is really nice. For the expression that he has, it's almost kind of like a smirk. And I actually think it came out relatively well. Over here taking a look at the hat, you know what I'm saying? It definitely does give those cowboy vibes. So even though we didn't get the angry, expressive face, I'm still pretty content with what we have here for what we receive with our Logan. And jumping straight over to the aesthetics of this figure, man, I can definitely say that Hasbro actually did a pretty good job at capturing that cowboy look for Logan. I know some of you guys have, hundreds and hundreds of Wolverine figures, and you guys could probably care less. But I think for what this Logan represents, I think actually Hasbro did a pretty good job. Over here taking a look at the head sculpt, what I'm saying, it's very nicely detailed. This Logan does look quite different from other ones that we've had. Maybe he looks a little bit younger, but I can just definitely tell that the artistic style on there is quite different. And if we're comparing it to the additional head sculpt that we see here, we see that on this head sculpt, he definitely has a lot more hair, facial hair over there to the side, you know what I'm saying? So, and one also noticeable difference is at the top of the head also as well. We do see that there are indentations on there, so that is a little bit of difference of the head sculpts. And we also do see here that with this one, he is he has like this kind of smirk kind of look. Then taking over here a look at the clothing, we do see that it is a nice rolled up dress shirt, and I do like that they didn't leave the shirt flat. If you look closely in there, you can actually see some of the line work, which would be representative of the stitching. Then we do also have some chest hair. It would be definitely a shame to have the open chest look with no chest hair. Then we also do have forearm chest as well. And one of the things that I really like about this Wolverine figure is actually the claws. I can definitely say when it comes down to the longevity and the durability of the figure, although these may not be quote unquote comic accurate or whatever accurate you guys want to call it these days, I think that this is the best durability for Wolverine claws. I feel like these aren't going to get warped as much. Then taking a look over here at the mid torso section, we also do have some wrinkles there. Then over here taking a look at the belt, I don't believe that says anything. I think it's just some line work. Then over here taking a look at the jeans, man, and I can definitely say, man, that Hasbro definitely executed this look very well. Although I know many people really got this 2-pack for the Sabertooth, I still think that this is a relatively well executed Logan, and I'm actually pretty pleased with how he turned out. And jumping straight into articulation, our Wolverine can look up about this much, which I think is a pretty decent range. He is going to be hindered a little bit, as you can see in the back. His hair is kind of hindering him. He can also look down about this much, which I also think is a pretty good range of motion. Then over here, taking a look at the shoulders, he can push his shoulders all the way up, so we do get that T-man pose, which is also really nice. We do get bicep swivel 360 degrees, and we also do have double jointed elbows. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the double jointed elbows are kind of ugly to me, but they do reach 90 degrees, and I think that's really well. Then over here taking a look at the fist, they do go up about this much and they do go down about that much, so a good range of motion. It would have been nice if we actually had some butterfly joints, but maybe that would have taken away from the sculpt. Then over here taking a look at the waist or the diaphragm, We do here have diaphragm swivel, so I think that that's very good. It would have been nice if we actually had a ball joint attached into here, so that way he can get more pivot as far as him crunching down. So with the ab crunch, with the diaphragm crunch, he gets about this much range, and he can get this much range going back. So I think that is, decent. It could have been better. Then over here we do have waist rotation. We do have 360 degrees. We also do have thigh cut. We also do have double jointed knees. They cannot touch the bottom of his butt. And then as far as his boots, they do go down about this much and they do go up. And one thing that I noticed while I was kind of messing around with it, it does go 360 degrees too as well. So, in order for you to get some nice poses, sometimes the cuffs on the jeans can kind of get in the way. So it's kind of nice that they gave us that added touch just so you can kind of make your figure stand a little bit better when you got them in those packed in action poses. You know what I'm saying? And just for some quick size comparisons, over there to the left we have the 3-way love triangle Wolverine, and over there to the right we also do have the retro carded Wolverine. And I think that Hasbro has done a phenomenal job with the consistency of the scaling with most of these Wolverines. As you can see, they're roughly about the same size. I don't have any other civilian clothing Wolverines to compare it to, but one thing that I wanted to do was some head swaps. So you heard me earlier mention that one of my complaints with this Logan was that we didn't really have an expressive face, and I kind of found a way out of that. So if we actually take the additional head sculpt that came with the Bone Breaker Wolverine, we actually a really freaking nice head sculpt, man. And I definitely like the fact that the paint actually matches the same. So if we take a look at the skin tone, you know what I'm saying, the skin tone variation is roughly the same. So I feel like this head sculpt would be a lot better if we were to have this Wolverine fighting with your Sabertooth. But I feel like most of us, for display purposes, are going to either have this Wolverine fighting the Sabertooth, or you're going to have your brown suit Wolverine fighting Sabertooth. But I think for head swaps, I think that is going to be your best bet. I mean, just look at this. Doesn't this look a lot more menacing than that stoic face? And again, arguers could say that, we have so many Wolverine figures and so many different head sculpts to choose from, so it wouldn't have really mattered if Hasbro included one in there. But I definitely think that this head sculpt does this figure a lot more justice. So even though the Logan may not have been anticipated as much as the Sabertooth because we've had so many Wolverines, this is still not a bad Logan figure, man. And I'm actually pretty happy that Hasbro gave us this, because although we do have so many different variations, it really honestly doesn't hurt to have another. And I think that, this cowboy look is definitely captured with, this design. And I'm very grateful that, Hasbro gave us this, iteration of Wolverine. And I definitely think, you can make them fit wherever you want to make them fit, So if I had to give this Logan figure a score, I think I'd give it, to be fair, I'd give it a solid 8. Although the figure is really good as far as aesthetics, and I do like this iteration of Logan, I feel like where this figure failed to, gain the extra 2 points would be in having a more expressive head sculpt. And again, it could be argued that because we have so many different head sculpts on different Wolverines that you could just head swap it, which, could be true. But I still think, considering that both of the faces that Sabertooth has, it definitely would have made sense that we would have had a more angrier or at least gritting teeth Wolverine. So I would still give it a solid 8. Taking a look at the accessories that comes with our Sabertooth, we do have these nice 2 head sculpts, and I definitely think that this was one of the big selling points of the figure, man. Apart from the size that we got with the Sabertooth, I definitely feel like the head sculpt is something that a lot of people really liked, because they felt like it captivated, that Jim Lee comic and animated series kind of look. I have heard a few people nitpick about the head size, and I am going to talk about that a little bit later. But just taking a look at the aesthetics of the figure, I definitely feel like it came out really, really well, man. Then taking a look at this head sculpt here, we do see that we do have a closed mouth kind of approach to the Sabertooth figure, man. And I definitely feel like both head sculpts came out really, really nice, man. Just taking a look here at the head sculpts, we can definitely see that there's a lot of detail in the hair, man. Maybe a little black wash would have helped kind of bring out some of the details, but I think all in all, it's still a pretty decent head sculpt. Then over here, taking a look at the hands, we do get some nice hands, and one of the things that I like about that is that it's not flat. We do see some wrinklage with the hands, man, you know what I'm saying? We do see the wrinkles there, and we also do see his claws. The only complaint I have with the accessories for the Sabertooth is, would have been nice if we would have had maybe some fisted hands to kind of go along with it, just to kind of add some variation. But all in all, I think that the accessories that he comes with is really, really pretty good, man. Really, really decent. And jumping straight into the aesthetics of the Sabertooth, I definitely feel like Hasbro delivered and they finally gave us what we all have been asking for. I definitely feel like this Sabertooth captures and epitomizes, that Jim Lee era and that animated series era look that we all remember Sabertooth for. And I definitely feel like, Hasbro definitely redeemed themselves with this figure. Taking a look at the aesthetics a little bit closely, over here we have the head sculpt, and I will address the elephant in the room. In my opinion, I do feel like the head sculpt on this Sabertooth is a little bit on the large side. If we're looking at it, looking at his whole entire body, I'm not going to say that it's extremely cartoonish large, but I guess Hasbro is known for having, figures with, relatively larger heads than bodies. So I guess if you know those kind of things. And over here, taking a look at his mane, man, I definitely feel like they did a really good job. I kind of feel like it's flat in certain areas. Maybe if we would have had a little bit more line work, but I think it's relatively decent. When I look at the main work for the previous Marvel Legends that we have here, this one is slightly different because I did add some paint work in there. Maybe that's what I'm gonna have to do with here, this, just to kind of bring out some of the detailing a little bit more. But I feel like the previous main that we had was actually a little bit more detailed than here. And over here, taking a look at the rest of the body, man, I think that the paint work is really nice. I like how they have, his costume design going into the ab crunch, and I think that's really, really decent. Over here, taking a look at the arms, it looks like it's molded either in orange or brown. I can't really tell, but I don't really see any paint bleed going through. Then over here, taking a look at the wrist, man, his gloves, you do have his little sharp piece over there, and I do like that it's not flat. You can also see a little bit of muscular definition and tone in there, and as well as the gloves, they're not flat either. We can definitely see that there's wrinkles in there, and that was always something that was always interesting to me. Like, he has sharp claws, but you're wearing gloves. I mean, maybe I don't know my comic history enough to understand, but again, they don't always necessarily have to make sense in order for a design to be cool. And then just taking a look at the rest of the body, man, he does have nice legs. I feel that are proportionate relative to the body. Then over here, taking a closer look at the the legs, I do see that we do have that toe wrinklage, which definitely breaks up that definition in that shoe, which I think is really nice. Then over here, the paint work is well through and through consistent, and I definitely like the way that this figure came out. I'm really shocked, well, not really shocked that they use his body, because I do know that a lot of people did want this particular figure in the Omega Red body, but I'm actually surprised that they didn't use the Venom movie body, which was something that I've seen a lot of other customizers do as well. But I still think for what we get, this is a pretty good, aesthetically pleasing looking Sabertooth. Then jumping into articulation, we actually get a pretty decent range of motion. Over here with the head, we are going to have some hindrance. He won't be able to look all the way completely up because of this mane here, and unfortunately the mane is not removable. It is glued on there or molded on there. And then over here we do see that the mane is not really molded on there so much, but that is to allow him to get that range of motion with those butterfly joints, which I think is really, really good. I definitely would have felt it would have been no justice if we didn't get the butterfly joints. But taking a look back at the head, he can look down about this much, which I think is good. He can do the T-man pose, which is always nice. He does have 360 degrees bicep rotation. As far as the elbows, he does have double jointed elbows, and they go past 90 degrees, which I think is really, really, really nice. So when you got this guy posed up, what I'm saying, you can have his arms in some real nice, ridiculous, just prowling kind of poses. I guess. Shut up. Then over here, taking a look at the ab crunch, he does have a pretty decent ab crunch that goes down about this much, and it can go back about that much. I would have really appreciated if we would have gotten that diaphragm swivel similar to how the Wolverine is, and if we would have gotten that combined with the ab crunch similar to how the Venom movie body is. I definitely felt like that would have been pretty cool, but still nice for what we have. We also do have 360 degrees waist rotation, which is also nice. His legs can go up this much. He does have bicep swivel, 360 degrees. He has double jointed knees as well. They don't touch the back of his butt, but he is a pretty beefy character, so we always know that the articulation is somewhat limited. Then we also do have his legs that go down this far and they go up about this much, and he also does have ankle pivot. And I think that this Sabertooth is definitely one of those ones that I would arguably say could be your definitive Sabertooth. You know what I'm saying? I think the articulation works. I definitely feel like Hasbro definitely delivered, and I'm very well and pleased with how it came out. So jumping over into the size comparisons, over there to the left we have the Sabertooth that was released with a Build-A-Figure that builds Apocalypse, and over there to the right we have the Sabertooth, a part of the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure wave. And I definitely feel like, man, we've come a long way from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure, and it's again that Sabertooth was not a bad Sabertooth. It was just that many of us felt that it was a little bit lacking in the size department. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this would be your average, everyday, typical Sabertooth if he existed in real life. This would be your super jacked up, like, yo, I'm hitting the gym every day, and then this guy just looks unreal. I see this guy walking down in the middle of the street, I'm walking the other way. And over there to our right, we have the Age of Apocalypse Sabertooth, and what's actually very interesting is that, the Age of Apocalypse Sabertooth is actually bigger than, this current one that we have now, which ironically enough, I thought, this current one that we had would be a bit bigger, but interesting to see as to why they didn't want to use this body. Maybe they felt like that body was too big, but I still think that it kind of shows just the evolution of Hasbro and the Marvel Legends and just their designs. One thing that I did want to do was I wanted to take this opportunity to do some head swaps. So if we take the Age of Apocalypse head and we put it on the new Sabertooth body, it actually works really well as a unmasked Sabertooth head. You know what I'm saying? And I actually think that it's actually pretty decent. The design in the face, as far as like, obviously it doesn't look 100% identical, but it's unmistakably Sabertooth. So if you did want to remove his brown half mask or whatever you guys want to call it, this would be, I think, would be a good representation of possibly what he would look like unmasked. And if you wanted to give Sabertooth a more calm demeanor, maybe without the, the whited out eyes, you can definitely give him a more civilian approach. I mean, Sabertooth and civilian in the same Sabertooth doesn't even make any sense. But if you wanted your Sabertooth to be, a little bit more on the calmer side, I still feel like the alternative head for the Age of Apocalypse actually works really, really well if you wanted to do some head swaps. And if you also wanted to know what the Sabertooth from the Build-A-Figure Apocalypse wave looked like with the head on top of this new figure, this is pretty much what we get. And clearly the head is a little bit too small. I think maybe if we dremeled a little bit into the head and you pushed it down, maybe it would work a little bit better, because in my opinion right now it kind of sits a little bit too high on the neck. But then again, that'll be your preference. I still think even if it was dremeled down, it would still be relatively too small. And retrospectively, if you did happen to have that Sabertooth from the Bonebreaker wave laying around, you could actually take that head sculpt and put it on this body, and it actually makes for a really good unmasked Sabertooth head. And for some Brotherhood of Evil Mutant action, over there to the left we have my man Magneto, the Mafex Magneto, phenomenal figure. And over there to the right we also do have Avalanche. And if you guys are customizers, do yourself some justice and paint metallic silver over that bare plastic, man. You can make your Avalanche stand out a lot more. And for some more villain action, over there to the left we have Mr. Sinister, and over there to the right we do have Omega Red. And as you guys can clearly see, they do share the same body. And over there to the left we have Blob, and over there to the right we do have Juggernaut. And I definitely feel like, man, he scales relatively well with the rest of his Brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? And last but not least, the body that I was secretly hoping that we would get this new Sabertooth for is the movie Venom that we received. And you know, looking at it now, I can kind of understand why they probably didn't go with this body. Maybe the proportions on the lower side regarding the legs might have been a little bit too skinny for a Sabertooth. So I guess maybe using the Omega Red body was actually the better. But you can see with the claws with Venom, you can definitely see why, you know, I thought that that would have been a possibility. I definitely do like the diaphragm swivel and the ab crunch combination. I really wish that we could have had that on this Sabertooth, but you know, we get what we can get. So after all is said and done, I think Hasbro gave us a phenomenal 2-pack that a lot of us have been anticipating. We've all wanted that Sabertooth figure. We've all wanted that figure to be redeemed. And I definitely think that if you do get this 2-pack, you are not going to be disappointed. Definitely, you know, there are little nitpicks I have here and there, but again, that is going to be, you know, up to you and your personal discretion. You know, personally, I feel like we could have had another Wolverine head sculpt, you know, with maybe an angry face, and maybe, you know, a personal nitpick of mine is, you know, the Sabertooth head should be a little bit smaller. But all in all, I still think it's an exceptional 2-pack that you should definitely go out and get. It is on Hasbro Pulse and it is on the Big Bad Toy Store. I think they're still on pre-order. I was able to get mine because, you know, I got the hookups and the connects. You guys know what I mean. If you know, you know, you know. But overall, man, I had to give these 2 figures, I'd give them a sub rating of a 9.5. This is pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. So once again, guys, thanks for checking out Packed in Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. Please like and subscribe and comment down below if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns. I'm always, you know, looking forward to speaking with you guys, just, you know, brushing off shoulders and rubbing different ideas off one another, man. So guys, hit me up. Have a great day. Stay blessed.